China's state news agency today is saying that two Canadians detained on suspicion of harming national security acted together to steal state secrets. Your response to that, and do you think it's direct retaliation for the Meng extradition case?
We are obviously very concerned with this position that China has taken. The safety and security of Canadians is always of first order for this government, and that's why we've been engaging and standing up for the two Canadians who've been arbitrarily detained by China from the very beginning. We are a country of the rule of law. We will ensure that rule of law is fully respected, and we will go through those processes in a proper and rigorous way. It is unfortunate that China continues to move forward on these arbitrary detentions. We will continue to stand up for these Canadians.
And en français, would you
Nous sommes préoccupés par les développements aujourd'hui. Les deux Canadiens qui sont détenus en Chine ont été détenus de façon entièrement arbitraire. Le Canada est un pays de la règle de droit. Nous allons toujours respecter notre indépendance judiciaire et on va suivre les processus de façon rigoureuse et nous allons toujours défendre les Canadiens où qu'ils soient dans le monde, incluant les deux Canadiens détenus de façon arbitraire en Chine.
Thank you, Prime Minister. You said you needed time to think about whether Jody Wilson Raybould would remain in caucus. I'm wondering, are you still going to allow her to sit in caucus? And she has mentioned that she's going to reoffer for Vancouver Kingsway as a Liberal.
This is obviously not a situation or a decision to be taken lightly, and we will continue to reflect and work on this issue.
Et en français, s'il vous plaît.
Okay. C'est évidemment pas une situation à prendre à la légère. C'est pour ça que nous prenons notre temps pour bien réfléchir et discuter de cet enjeu.
Ross Lord with Global National Television. I'm working with our Ottawa Bureau with some questions. Do you agree with your new Attorney General that there are some circumstances that might be appropriate to intervene in a criminal prosecution for electoral reasons?
We are always going to stand up for good jobs, create good jobs, and defend Canadians' interests. That's what Canadians expect us to do as a government. That's what we will always continue to do. We will do that, however, in a way that respects our institutions, respects the independence of our judiciary. Canadians expect us to do those two things at the same time, and that's what we will always do.
Why didn't you tell your new Attorney General that his predecessor had already said no to the SNC-Lavalin question? Did you put him on that file to review it, hoping he'd reverse her decision in part or in any way because he's a Montreal MP?
As I said many times, this matter is to be determined by the Attorney General. That is what I said to the former Attorney General, and that's something that the current Attorney General knows full well. So this is part of respecting the rule of law and the independence of our judiciary. In regards to the jobs, it's important to highlight that there are jobs potentially affected in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, in Port Elgin, Ontario, in Grand Prairie, Alberta, right across the country. And our jobs as ministers and indeed as Prime Minister and as a government is to stand up for Canadian jobs everywhere and to do so in a way that respects our institutions and the independence of our judiciary.
Hi there, Stuart Deepy from The Guardian. The President of the Union of Veterans Affairs Employees has estimated that as many as 500 additional employees would need to be hired in order to clear the backlog and allow services to be at an acceptable level. So have you discussed plans with your new Minister of Veterans Affairs for significant increases in Veterans Affairs staffing?
It was a tremendous pleasure for me to be able to drop by the Veterans Affairs offices here in Charlottetown to thank and congratulate the extraordinary public servants who are working so hard to make sure that veterans and their families get the supports that they so deeply deserve. How a country recognizes those who've sacrificed and their families to serve this country goes to the very core of who we are. And that's why over the past 3.5 years as a government, we have made massive investments in supporting our veterans. $10 billion of new money We've reopened the shuttered Veterans Affairs offices that the previous government closed. We're moving forward as of April 1st on our new Pensions for Life program that is going to support more veterans and give them and their families more of the support they so richly deserve. This is something that we will continue to do. We have made significant strides in supporting our veterans and our families, not just delivering them with benefits and money, but supporting them with programs and trainings and help for things like PTSD and mental health as well. But we recognize there is always more to do, and I look forward to having conversations with our new Minister of Veterans Affairs, who is going to be fighting hard for the very best services for our veterans, because it's what I expect of him, it's what Canadians expect of him. Thank you, Lord.
Just as a follow-up on the issue of pensions for life, I mean, the recent findings of the Parliamentary Budget Office found that severely disabled veterans may have reduced benefits. Can you give assurances that disabled vets will receive all the benefits that they're entitled to?
Every single veteran currently receiving benefits will at least be as well off under the new system as they were under the previous system, and many will actually be better off. That is the commitment we made to veterans, and that is what we are delivering on as of April 1st.
Kerry Campbell, local CBC. I have a local question, and then I'm hoping I could sneak in a little question the network wants me to ask, but I'll start with local.
That's much more important.
Your federal carbon levy on fuel kicks in a few weeks now. There's a corresponding levy coming to PEI, but on January 1st, the PEI government dropped its gas taxes such that it'll negate all but 1 cent of the carbon levy. I wonder if in your mind is PEI not kind of circumventing the whole purpose of the carbon levy, and how does this fit in with your government's message that you have to put a price on pollution?
For too long in this country, it has been free to pollute. That's one of the reasons we have too much pollution and we're facing climate change around the world, because polluting the atmosphere has been free. So we know that if you put a price on pollution, we will reduce the amount of pollution being put into our world. And that is the entire point and the purpose of how we're moving forward. Obviously, we respect different jurisdictions in their way to build approaches that work for them, but there needs to be equivalent stringency and equivalency right across the country, and that is what we've been looking at very carefully, and we will continue to look over the coming years as these models roll out. Unfortunately, there are 4 provinces, New Brunswick, Ontario, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, that are not moving forward on fighting climate change. And we've had to move forward in a way that both puts a price on pollution in those those regions, and directly supports families with this change. Indeed, in Ontario, in New Brunswick, in Manitoba, and in Saskatchewan, the average family of 4 will be better off now that we're moving forward on pricing pollution. And that just makes sense, because we also know that this is about creating good jobs and green growth for the future. This is where we are moving, and we will continue to work collaboratively with all partners across the country to ensure that we're not just fighting climate change to protect the environment, we're also fighting climate change to build a better future with better jobs for all Canadians.
There's been a lot of discussion lately about the need to separate the roles of Attorney General and Justice Minister within the federal government, for the Attorney General not to be a member of Cabinet. Is that a change that you're willing to bring in?
I think there's obviously in any given day, week, or month reflections on how we can do things differently or better, but significant changes like that would require a significant a considerable amount of reflection and analysis. It's not something to do on a whim or as a minor thing. It's something to take very carefully and responsibly.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre, François-Pierre Dufault, Radio-Canada, Charlottetown. Allez-vous intervenir pour obliger une étude environnementale du projet de la papetière Northern Pulp en Nouvelle-Écosse?
La situation de la papetière Northern Pulp nous préoccupe évidemment comme tous les gens de la région. Nous savons que de protéger nos océans, notre littoral est une priorité pour tous les Canadiens, et c'est pour ça que nous avons fait des investissements majeurs dans la protection de nos océans. Dans la situation actuelle, le gouvernement fédéral est en train de remplir ses responsabilités, mais on reconnaît que c'est un enjeu et une analyse provinciale en Nouvelle-Écosse qui mène la charge. Mais nous allons faire remplir nos responsabilités en même temps. Nous allons permettre au gouvernement provincial de faire sa job. We recognize how important it is for Islanders, for Atlantic Canadians, indeed for all Canadians, to protect our coasts, to protect our oceans. That's why we move forward with a historic oceans protection plan, which is making a significant difference in making sure we're able to protect these valuable resources that our oceans provide. On the situation here, we understand and respect the fact that it's a provincial lead going through the environmental assessments, but the federal government is also looking into ways that it can support, and that is something we take very seriously.
Sur un autre sujet, si je peux me permettre, Monsieur le Premier ministre, il y a un sénateur libéral de l'île du Prince-Édouard que vous connaissez bien, Percy Down, qui aimerait bien que le pont de la Confédération, à tout le moins que le tarif soit réduit, peut-être même éliminé pour les insulaires. Est-ce que ça fait partie des priorités que vous allez étudier d'ici la prochaine campagne électorale?
Le pont de la Confédération est opéré par une compagnie privée. Le gouvernement fédéral a la responsabilité de veiller à ce que les coûts soient toujours en ligne avec les contrats signés, et ce contrat va durer jusqu'en 2032. Il sera respecté. The Confederation Bridge is operated by a private company that has a contract to do so. The federal responsibility in that is oversight over any augmentations or increases in the tolls to make sure that they are fully within the bounds of the contract that was originally signed 20 years ago. We know that that contract will extend until 2032. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you all.